Francis Ford Coppola is going to make The Godfather, and he says, I want this guy, Al Pacino. And the studio says,
well, they wanted to see something else, I guess. And both Francis and I.
At 84, life seems to be over for Al Pacino, a Hollywood legend whose career spanned decades of iconic performances and unforgettable roles. But behind the glitz and glamour, the man who once ruled the silver screen is now bogged down by financial ruin, personal betrayals, and a series of heartbreaking setbacks. From losing $50 million in a Ponzi scheme to taking on humiliating roles just to stay afloat. That, all after a legendary Hollywood career. What went wrong? Al Pacino's story begins in East Harlem, New York City, where he was born on April 25, 1940, to Rose and Salvatore Pacino, immigrants of Sicilian descent. But his life was anything but stable. At just 2 years old, his parents separated, and his father moved to California, leaving Pacino and his mother to fend for themselves in the South Bronx. His mother moved them into her parents' home, where he was raised by his grandparents. Life in the Bronx was tough, surrounded by poverty, crime, and the daily struggle to make ends meet. School wasn't a refuge for Pacino either. He found academics challenging and gravitated toward acting as a form of escape. By age 17, he dropped out of school, a decision that devastated his mother and led to heated arguments that ultimately drove him to leave home. For the next few years, Pacino's life would be defined by survival. He worked as a janitor, busboy, and mailroom clerk, anything to make ends meet. Without a stable home, he often slept on the streets or crashed on friends' couches. Reflecting on this period, Pacino later said in an interview with Vanity Fair in 1994, "I learned how to survive early on, and that has stayed with me my whole life." But survival wasn't his only focus. Even as he struggled, he stayed committed to his dream of acting. At night, he poured his energy into his craft, rehearsing anywhere he could, sometimes even sleeping in the very theaters where he practiced. Despite countless rejections, Pacino refused to give up, eventually finding a mentor, Charlie Lawton at HB Studio, who introduced him to method acting and pushed him to dig deeper into his emotions as a performer. But as his passion grew, so did the challenges. Losing his mother to a drug overdose when he was just 22 years old was a devastating blow. Less than a year later, his grandfather, who had helped raise him, also passed away. Grieving and financially broken, Pacino found himself at his lowest. It was during this dark period that he said acting became a lifeline, giving him something to cling to when all else seemed lost. By the age of 23, Pacino's grit finally paid off. He was accepted into the prestigious Actors Studio, where his training under Lee Strasberg marked a turning point in his career. It was at this point that the boy from the Bronx, who had grown up surrounded by hardship and rejection, was finally beginning to lay the groundwork for the extraordinary career that would follow. After years of struggle, Al Pacino's talent began to gain recognition. His first major break came in 1968, when he starred in the off-Broadway play The Indian Wants the Bronx, which earned him critical acclaim and an Obie Award. This success caught the attention of filmmakers, leading to his film debut in Me, Natalie in 1969. In 1971, Pacino landed his first leading role in The Panic in Needle Park, a movie that explored the grim realities of drug addiction. His raw and haunting performance turned heads in Hollywood, catching the eye of director Francis Ford Coppola. Despite heavy resistance from studio executives, Coppola fought to cast Pacino as Michael Corleone in The Godfather. Many doubted Pacino's ability to carry such a crucial role, but Coppola stood firm, later recalling, "Very few people wanted Al. He was not a star." Pacino, too, faced immense pressure, even admitting, "I thought I was going to get fired every day." Despite the skepticism, Pacino's portrayal of Michael Corleone was a revelation. His performance earned him his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor and launched him into stardom. Almost overnight, he became one of Hollywood's most sought-after actors. In the years that followed, Pacino delivered consecutive iconic performances in Serpico in 1973, The Godfather Part II in 1974, and Dog Day Afternoon in 1975, solidifying his place as one of the industry's most versatile and intense performers. However, the fame came at a cost. The increasing demands of his career and the intense nature of the roles he chose began to weigh heavily on him. "You don't choose roles casually," Pacino once said in an interview with Vanity Fair in 1995. "You feel the consequences of them." This relentless dedication hinted at the personal and professional struggles that would later haunt him. By the late 1970s, Al Pacino was at the height of his career. However, a string of poor box office performances began to unravel his success. Films like Bobby Deerfield in 1977 and Cruising in 1980 were commercial failures, and the latter sparked significant backlash, with the LGBTQ+ community criticizing its portrayal of gay culture. Studios, once eager to work with Pacino, were growing hesitant, questioning his ability to draw audiences. In 1985, Pacino starred in Revolution, an ambitious period drama that became one of the biggest flops of his career. Budget issues, poor editing, and rushed production plagued the film, which Pacino later described as a monumental failure. The fallout was severe. Disillusioned and drained, Pacino all but disappeared from Hollywood, taking a 4-year hiatus from acting. During this time, his personal life also spiraled. Known for his intensity and focus on his work, Pacino's inability to balance his career and relationships led to several failed romances. Reflecting on his struggles, Pacino once admitted, "Being an actor and being a father are sometimes a very hard mix." The pressure of fame and the emotional toll of his roles also took a physical toll. His dedication to method acting often demanded extreme sacrifices. "You give so much of yourself to a performance that there's sometimes very little left," Pacino said during a 1996 interview with Charlie Rose. After years out of the spotlight, it was clear Pacino's reputation had taken a hit. Hollywood had started to move on, viewing him as difficult and unreliable, a shadow of the once promising star who had dominated the industry. This period marked the beginning of a lifelong battle to maintain relevance and reclaim his place in Hollywood. By the late 1980s, Al Pacino's career was at a crossroads. After his extended hiatus, many in Hollywood doubted whether he could regain his former glory, but Pacino was determined to prove them wrong. His return began cautiously with the 1989 courtroom drama And Justice for All, where his performance reminded audiences of his undeniable talent. The real turning point came in 1990 with his reprisal of Michael Corleone in The Godfather Part 3. While the film received mixed reviews, critics praised Pacino's performance, and it helped reignite his visibility in the industry. Around this time, he also began taking on roles that appealed to broader audiences, such as his standout performance in Glengarry Glen Ross in 1992. But it was 1992's Scent of a Woman that marked his full comeback. For his portrayal of the blind and volatile Frank Slade, Pacino finally won his first Academy Award after 7 previous nominations. Reflecting on the achievement during his acceptance speech, Pacino said humbly, "I've been around. I've seen a lot of chances go by. This is a gift." Though the Oscar revived his credibility, it also marked a shift in Pacino's choices. Critics began to note his tendency to take on more commercial and over-the-top roles in films like Heat in 1995 and The Devil's Advocate in 1997. While some praised his larger-than-life performances, others criticized them as excessive. By the late 1990s, Pacino had firmly re-established himself in Hollywood, but his decisions hinted at the growing financial pressures in his life. As his lifestyle expenses increased, and with no significant endorsement deals or side ventures to rely on, he became increasingly dependent on demanding, high-paying roles to sustain his wealth. This cycle of financial necessity and creative compromise would go on to define much of his later career. Though Al Pacino has maintained a legendary status in Hollywood, his financial life has been far from smooth. In 2010, Pacino became a victim of a Ponzi scheme, orchestrated by his former financial advisor, Kenneth Starr, who stole millions from clients. Pacino reportedly lost $50 million in the scheme, a financial blow that forced him to reassess his lifestyle and career choices. In addition to his losses, Pacino struggled to manage his spending. Living far above his means, he became notorious for extravagant expenses, including paying $400,000 annually for landscaping on a home he didn't even occupy. These indulgences, combined with high living costs, led to significant financial strain. His financial troubles also influenced his unexpected career decisions. A striking example was his role in the critically panned comedy Jack and Jill in 2011, where he played a caricature of himself. The film drew harsh criticism, with many questioning why an actor of Pacino's stature would take on such a questionable project. While Pacino never openly admitted the role was motivated by money, such choices aligned with the increasing need to stabilize his finances after years of mismanagement and betrayal. During this turbulent period, Pacino remarked in an interview with The Telegraph in 2014, "Sometimes you do things to keep the engine running. It's not ideal, but it's a part of the life I've chosen." His financial missteps and recovery illustrate the less glamorous reality of stardom, revealing how even Hollywood's elite can lose control amidst the pressures of fame and wealth. In addition to the challenges of his career, Al Pacino has faced serious health battles in recent years. In 2020, during the global COVID-19 pandemic, Pacino contracted the virus. According to multiple statements made by those close to him, his condition worsened dramatically, leading to a near-fatal incident where he reportedly lost his pulse and was clinically dead for a short time before being revived by medical professionals. While Pacino himself has not publicly elaborated on the event, it was a stark reminder of his vulnerability at this stage in life. Throughout his career, Pacino has also dealt with chronic health issues, including a long battle with insomnia. This condition not only caused physical and mental strain, but also became something he channeled into his craft. During filming for Insomnia in 2002, a thriller set in the perpetual daylight of an Alaskan summer, Pacino reportedly drew directly from his decades-long struggle with sleeplessness to portray a detective unraveling under the weight of exhaustion. Despite these challenges, Pacino has shown remarkable resilience. His health scare in 2020, paired with his ongoing struggles with age-related health concerns, has not deterred him from continuing to work. In interviews, he has quietly reflected on the fragility of life, noting simply, "You don't dwell on it, but it's always there. Life is short, and I've been lucky." Even with these near-death experiences and the toll of age, Pacino remains dedicated to his craft, bringing an unmatched intensity and depth to the roles he chooses to this day. These health struggles have only deepened his perspective on the intersection between life and art, a connection that defines his approach to acting even now. As Al Pacino entered his later years, he began reflecting more openly on the choices and challenges that shaped his life and career. While his work remained steady, he admitted in a 2015 interview with The Guardian that fame came with its own complications. "Fame isolates you," he remarked. "It's a lonely condition in some ways because you lose the ability to be anonymous." Despite his on-screen intensity, Pacino has often spoken about his private nature and preference for solitude. He has never married, citing his focus on his career and the sacrifices it demanded as significant factors. "I'm shy," he once explained during his 60 Minutes interview with CBS in 2010. "And that shyness has been something I've lived with all my life. It's a struggle." In recent years, Pacino has embraced his role as a mentor to younger actors, occasionally lecturing on acting and occasionally returning to the stage, which he has always called his first home. While his later filmography has been uneven, he remains committed to projects he finds meaningful, showing a willingness to take risks, even later in his career. Looking back, Pacino described his journey succinctly. "Life is unpredictable. You think you know where you're going, and suddenly it changes direction." This sentiment reflects the mixture of triumphs and failures that defined his path. From a struggling young actor to one of the most enduring figures in Hollywood. Now in his 80s, Pacino continues to work, balancing high-profile projects with personal reflection. For an actor who began his journey on New York's tough streets, his life's arc has been anything but ordinary, a testament to resilience and a relentless pursuit of his craft.